So here's a story that's been setting the internet on fire, and not just tech Twitter, but mainstream outlets, finance circles, and even energy policy wonks. A group of AI experts just returned from visiting China, and the message they brought back has people genuinely rattled. Their takeaway? The US might already be losing the AI race, not because of algorithms or chips, but because of something way more basic, something nobody usually pays attention to: electricity. Now, I know, power grids don't sound as sexy as robots or GPT models, but stick with me, because the numbers behind this story are wild, and the implications are massive. What these experts saw in China made them realize that the future of AI may not be determined by who has the best data or the most GPUs, but by who has the raw energy to run them. The headline moment came from David Fishman, a power grid expert who has spent years studying China's energy system inside and out. He described the situation with a brutal baseball analogy. He said, "China is set up to hit grand slams. America at best can get on base, and that's not good for us." That's not just a hot take, that's a warning from someone who knows the numbers. Because here's the jaw-dropping fact: China has so much extra electricity that they're sitting on 80% to 100% more than they actually need. They literally have double capacity built into their system. Meanwhile, the US scrapes by with just a 15% reserve margin. That's it. And in times of extreme heat or cold, that cushion disappears, and we're effectively running on empty. Think of it this way: China's cruising down the highway with a full spare tank of gas in the trunk. America's dashboard light is blinking red. This whole frenzy really took off when Fortune dropped a bombshell article on August 14, 2025. The headline was brutal. AI experts return from China stunned. The US grid is so weak, the race for AGI might already be over. At first, I thought it was just clickbait, but when I dug in, I realized who was making these claims. And it wasn't random commentators. One of the key voices was Rui Ma, an investor who has spent over 15 years bridging US and Chinese tech markets. Her group, Tech Buzz China, toured multiple AI facilities across China earlier this year. And when they came back, her summary was basically, "Holy crap, the US is in trouble." What struck her wasn't just the size of China's AI clusters, but the assumption of abundant power everywhere they went. No one questioned whether there would be electricity. It was a given. Contrast that with the US, where AI startups are locked in a Hunger Games-style battle just to secure enough energy for their data centers. In America, every GPU cluster comes with a side order of political fights, lawsuits, and regulatory bottlenecks. In China, it's plug in and scale up. Fishman went even further. He warned that US policymakers better hope China stays friendly, because if Beijing decides to get aggressive, America simply cannot compete on the energy front. And that's terrifying when you realize AI compute is directly tied to national power. After that Fortune article, the dominoes fell fast. Yahoo Finance picked it up. So did CNBC, Bloomberg, and Tom's Hardware. Suddenly, what had been an inside baseball conversation among grid specialists became mainstream panic. Because when every major outlet is saying, "uh-oh," at the same time, you know something real is happening. And it's worth unpacking exactly what makes China's electricity advantage so overwhelming. First, let's talk about reserve margins. China's grid operates with a staggering 80–100% reserve. That means they have twice as much capacity as they need on any given day. Imagine having 2 refrigerators stuffed with food when you only need 1. That's China. Meanwhile, the US has a couple of cans of soup and hopes a storm doesn't hit. But here's the key. China didn't just stumble into this. They planned it. For decades, the Chinese government pursued an explicit strategy. Overbuild the grid. No endless lawsuits. No decade-long environmental reviews. No political stalemates. Just decide and build. And they did. China's State Grid Corporation, the world's third-largest company by revenue, bigger than most oil giants, rakes in over $546 billion a year. In just the past 5 years, they've spent $442 billion upgrading transmission lines and transformers. That's nearly $500 billion poured directly into their energy infrastructure. And then there are the ultra-high voltage transmission lines. China has 34 of them. The US has 0. These lines can move colossal amounts of electricity across thousands of miles with minimal loss. That means China can harvest solar power in the western deserts and ship it all the way to Beijing without blinking. Meanwhile, the US can't even reliably move power from Texas to California. And the scale is hard to comprehend. Every single year, China adds more new electricity generation than the entire nation of Germany consumes. It's like adding a whole European country's worth of power capacity annually, while America debates whether to fix one bridge. So why does this matter? Because AI eats power like nothing else we've ever built. Training GPT-4 alone required around 50 gigawatt hours of electricity, enough to keep 5,000 American homes running for a year. That's just one model. OpenAI's largest cluster already pulls 400 megawatts, the same as 400,000 homes. And by 2030, they expect to scale to 8 gigawatts per training run. That's the equivalent of 8 nuclear plants powering a single AI job. Meta's experience with LLaMA 3 was even more insane. The training runs were so power-hungry that engineers had to invent a command, literally called PyTorch no power plant blow up. Why? Because the demand spikes risked frying local plants. Meta actually spends tens of millions of dollars every year running dummy calculations just to smooth out demand curves so they don't crash the grid. And the forecasts are jaw-dropping. Rand predicts that by 2030, AI data centers will need 327 GW globally. For perspective, all the world's data centers, combined today, use just 88 GW. In 5 years, demand quadruples. Now, here's the nightmare. In the US, just connecting a new data center to the grid in Virginia can take 4 to 7 years. By the time you get approval, China has already trained multiple next-gen models and deployed them. The Department of Energy has admitted it. Our grid is already maxed out in multiple states. By 2027, just 2 years from now, over half of North America could face electricity shortages. And it's not just about building new power plants. Transmission bottlenecks are brutal. Think of it like having a dozen fire hoses, but only one narrow pipe to hook them into. The wait times are crazy. Back in 2015, connecting a new power plant took about 3 years. Today, it's closer to 5. And transformers, the backbone of any grid upgrade, used to take 50 weeks to deliver. Now it's over 120 weeks, more than 2 years. Goldman Sachs estimates the US needs $720 billion in upgrades by 2030 just to handle AI demand. Globally, McKinsey says the number is $6.7 trillion. And already, everyday Americans are feeling the pinch. In Ohio, residents have seen their electricity bills jump by $15 a month purely because of new data centers. And that's before the real AI boom even kicks in. It got so dire that the government declared a national energy emergency specifically for AI. 4 federal sites were designated for emergency data center construction. When Washington is panic-building compute hubs, you know the storm is already here. So how is the US responding? By throwing unprecedented amounts of money at the problem. The centerpiece is Project Stargate, a $500 billion mega initiative announced in 2025. Backed by OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle, and partners in the UAE, Stargate aims to build AI data centers so massive they make existing facilities look like toys. The first one, in Texas, spans 875 acres, larger than Central Park. Its power draw alone could run nearly 1 million homes. Incredibly, parts of it were online within months. But here's the controversy. Elon Musk immediately called BS, tweeting, "They don't actually have the money." Bloomberg backed him up, reporting that most of the supposed funding hadn't been secured. The partners were already fighting over where to build. Critics said it was like announcing you're buying a Ferrari without checking your bank account. Meanwhile, Musk wasn't waiting around. He built his own monster cluster in Memphis, the world's most powerful AI supercomputer, in just 122 days. This facility houses 200,000 NVIDIA GPUs and draws enough power to run 750,000 homes. Locals aren't thrilled since it's fueled by natural gas turbines, but Musk doesn't care. He's already planning to scale to 1 million GPUs by 2026. For context, that's more compute than most entire nations. Last year alone, Musk raised $22 billion and is gunning for another $12 billion for expansion. The real shock here is the speed. While traditional projects drown in environmental reviews and paperwork, Musk went from blueprint to operational in 4 months. That's the kind of execution speed we usually associate with China, not the US. And it's not just Musk. Meta is building a Louisiana data center larger than the Pentagon, 4 million square feet, with power needs equivalent to a small nuclear plant. Zuckerberg is spending $65 billion in 2025 alone on AI infrastructure, more than the GDP of Luxembourg. Microsoft plans to drop $80 billion this year, Google $75 billion, Amazon over $100 billion in the next decade. Combined, big tech will pour $320 billion into AI data centers in 2025 alone, almost equal to the US military budget. And Microsoft's partnership with BlackRock, a $100 billion AI infrastructure fund. That's a financial weapon designed to reshape the grid itself. So, is the US doomed? Not necessarily. America still attracts more AI investment than anyone else. In 2025 alone, $67 billion in AI funding poured into US startups, compared to China's $8 billion. And the US still produces about 73% of the world's large language models. But here's the catch. Money doesn't buy time. Investors want returns in 3 to 5 years. Power plants take a decade. China, by contrast, can decide to build 50 plants and have them online in a fraction of that time. So the race isn't just about capital. It's about execution speed. And right now, China's model favors speed. The next 5 years are make or break. If projects like Stargate actually get built, and if Musk's Memphis monster scales the way he promises, America can stay in the game. But if we're still arguing over environmental impact statements in 2030, while China adds Germany-sized electricity capacity every year, then the race for AGI and ASI might already be lost. And here's the twist. China might not even need as much power as we think. If they train smarter, more efficient models, they could outpace us with less electricity. It's like the US is racing to build bigger cannons, while China is quietly perfecting bullets that fly further. At the end of the day, this isn't just about kilowatts or GPUs. It's about who controls the future of intelligence itself. The nation that solves the electricity bottleneck is the nation that wins the AI century. And right now, China looks like it's holding the high ground.